Somebody called me Trump, a female version of Trump, a little softer around the edges, and I take that as the highest compliment. I have immense respect for President Trump, what he gave up for this country, what he continues to do for this country.
Let's talk about the self-proclaimed female Trump.
Everything was, she's a fascist, she's a racist, she's this, she's that, and I thought, wow, this is somebody who I can relate to because they're doing the same thing about me, and it makes me realize that if they're not calling you all of these slurs, if they're not attacking you, then you're probably not truly representing the people of your country. I'm a true believer that if MLK, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. were alive today, if JFK were alive today, if our founding fathers were alive today, they would be America First Republicans. I really believe that.
Kari Lake spitting on the legacy of MLK and his politics alongside Russian propagandist Tulsi Gabbard is quite a sight to behold, especially now that Lake is running for the soon-to-be-open Senate seat in Arizona, and Trump is throwing his support behind her once again.
I know you're all helping Kari, and she's a spectacular woman, and she's going to do a great job. She's going to do a great job, and she's worked hard. She gave up a lot. I did too, by the way, but she gave up a lot, and she was the #1 person for years, I guess 21 years or something, and they want 27. You shouldn't say that. 21 sounds better.
As we covered previously, the insurrectionist ex-pres hosted Lake at Mar-a-Lago with a cast of deplorables like Laura Loomer present to raise more money for Lake to spew garbage like this on the campaign trail.
We are going to put on the armor of God. And maybe strap on a Glock on the side of us just in case. You can put one here and one in the back or one in the front, whatever you guys decide. Because we're not going to be the victims of crime. We're not going to have our Second Amendment taken away. We're certainly not going to have our First Amendment taken away by these tyrants.
The reaction from the crowd says it all here, as Lake is taking a page out of Trump's playbook and appealing to the violent urges of the Republican base, though she would cop out and backtrack on what she said later.
I said, this is going to be a rough and tumble year. We see that there's crime on the streets. We see what's happening in New York. People are getting punched in the face, knocked over, stabbed in the streets. We're seeing it everywhere. And I said, this is going to be a year you want to strap on your glove.
Yeah.
Oh, man. The
Even in California.
The New York Times is losing their mind.
Because you said that?
The Washington Post, it's like, we have actually a Second Amendment out.
Yeah.
And we are not afraid of guns. We know that our guns are going to protect us. And we're not going to be the victim of crime.
Speaking to Arizona voters, Twitter user Shannon Watts recorded Lake doubling down on her appeal to violence, cowardly saying that she was just talking about citizens protecting themselves from crimes committed by immigrants and migrants from the southern border. But we know who Kari Lake is and what she really means when this rhetoric is her campaign platform.
We're a Second Amendment sanctuary state. We're an open carry state, and they can go straight to hell if they think they're going to try to take away our Second Amendment rights here in Arizona. We will not comply with any of their rulings that try to take away our Second Amendment rights. It's pretty simple. And we're not going to sit back and take any more stolen elections. And so when I'm governor, we're going to fix it, and we're going to make sure we have honest elections. So people who think they're going to try to steal, and the mules who are going to try to move ballots, we're watching you. You are being watched, and there will be hell to pay. You know, when these Chilean gangs that have broken into our country and are now breaking into homes, when they break into your home and rob you blind, they don't ask if you voted for Joe Biden. They don't ask if you're a Democrat. They don't care what your political affiliation is. And we need to get serious about what's happening. We're losing our country. We're losing our safety. And when we lose that most basic feeling of being safe in our own communities, neighborhoods, and for goodness sakes, in our own homes, we're in deep trouble. God is on our side. We are truly fighting pure evil right now. It is evil what we're dealing with in this world. It's coming from the left. It's coming from their spokespeople in the media. We all know it.
This dangerous cocktail of God, guns, election denial, bigotry, and fear has led to violent outcomes in the past and could easily lead to much of the same in the future, as Mehdi Hassan will eloquently point out.
Language has consequences. Words matter. When Kari Lake talks about strapping on Glocks, when Tom Cotton talks about taking action into your own hands, people act on this stuff. When Donald Trump says, fight like hell, people go to the Capitol and fight like hell. Republicans say this stuff, and then there are consequences. Kari Lake knows what she's doing. Tom Cotton, Harvard grad, knows what he's doing. And the consequences are very clear. This is not just fun and games. When Mitt Romney goes on the record and says, There were members in the House who wanted to vote, GOP members who wanted to vote to impeach Donald Trump, but they were scared for their families. They were worried about the safety of their wife and kids, a lot of these Republican men. That is a deliberate tactic by Trump, the mafia boss, and the little mafia bosses below him to enforce order both within the party and now within the country.
This is the crux of the issue. These Republicans know exactly what they're doing by adopting and co-signing increasingly violent rhetoric. It has nothing to do with free speech or the First Amendment. It has everything to do with the potential consequences of said rhetoric. But again, violence, or at the very least the threat of violence, is the end goal of the gun-worshipping Republican voter base.
The people, my people are so smart. And you know what else they say about my people? The polls. They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. No, they say, Trump, we love you too, man.
If you can, please do become a channel member at youtube.com/TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. Also, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.